Couple of weeks off, get some sun, take Jonah fishing.
No, real change. New city. Some place where every time I go around a corner, I don't think of Maggie.
Where are you gonna go?
I was thinking about Seattle.
Sleepless in Seattle?
That's what she called him on the show because he can't sleep.
And now 2,000 women want his number. The guy could be a crackhead, a transvestite, a flasher, a junkie, a chainsaw murderer, or someone really sick. Someone like my Rick.
Actually, he sounded nice.
Oh? Oh, really? Now we're getting down to it.
Please, Becky, I'm madly in love with Walter. He did the craziest thing the other night. What was that? Oh, it's so funny. We were hysterical. What was that?
We're going to review today on Romcom Rewind, boys, one of the great Rosie O'Donnell movies of all time. Mount Rushmore of Rosie O'Donnell movies, I think.
When she was the supporting actress in almost everything.
League of Their Own.
For like 5 years, it's like, who should be the supporting actress? Let's get Rosie. Okay, that's great.
And then she got a talk show out of it. It was all very exciting.
Pissed off Tom Selleck.
Wow. You might have to explain that one to the young ones in the room here.
I don't know.
But
little gun control stuff.
We'll get. Oh wow, we'll get to that on Romcom Rewind Friday, and also the Wolves are back, and Federated Insurance is helping power this episode of Mackie and Judd. Now, how helpful would it be for you to have employee training at your fingertips, industry resources that can help your business reach another level of success? Well, that's why Federated recently launched My Shield, the online client destination for risk management resources. You can find out more at federatedinsurance.com. Click on My Shield or download the app. And remember, at Federated, it's our business to protect yours.
TCL is a proud sponsor of the SKOR North Studios. Enjoy more of the things you love with TCL. These two guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackie and Judd on SKOR North and SKORNorth.com.
Yeah, he's fearless. You know, he looks, he's young, but he's fearless, and I love that. And he's, take on any challenge defensively, not afraid to take a right shot, big shot, and I thought he was really, really impactful for us, both ends of the floor.
Gentlemen, according to ESPN stats and information research, the Timberwolves last night became only the second team in the last 25 seasons to win a game by at least 30 points after trailing by at least 15 points, joining the Chicago Bulls, who pulled it off against the then New Jersey Nets on December 23rd, 1996. Minnesota also became the third team to win a game by at least 30 points after entering the contest with a winning percentage under 200, 30 games into the season or more, according to the Elias Sports Bureau. The last team to pull that off was the Cleveland Cavaliers in 1971.
Yep.
I think we can start planning the parade after what we saw last night.
Yeah.
Chris Finch, when are we going to put the bronze bust up next to the Sid Hartman statue outside Target Center?
What did we all say? There's a guy all year long. We said there's a guy in Toronto, that Chris Finch guy. He should be here. That's what we all said. I mean, I don't care how Gerson has to do it. He's got to hire Chris Finch. And last night, I started to watch that game, and I thought they're down by 16. I mean, nothing has changed, right? Like, nothing has changed about this team. And
that's destiny calling right now. That's the playoff calling right now.
Finchie's like, you're right. I should have been hired before. But anyway, I started to watch that game, Phil. And I believe now that you can watch games too without illegal streams and stuff. You probably watched as well.
Very
exciting. My God, it's out of the All-Star break and like nothing has changed at all. And they came back and played well. And hey, that young collection, that was nice to see. I have no idea if it's sustainable or if this is going to, if they're going to continue to play well. But you know what? It was really nice. And this is going to sound mean, but I mean it. Wasn't it nice to see them use their young players and to finally like say, you know what? Ricky's got to sit down. Like, we just got to sit him. It's fine. Like, he'll play some, but he doesn't have to. This is where they should be going. Like, if you're going to be bad or good, I don't know which one, but this is the direction, with guys like Cat. This is the direction, though. The McDaniels, Nowells, Reeds. This is what I want. This is what we should see, not Ricky Rubio.
And empower those guys, put those guys in the right spots. And it is worth mentioning that Ant Edwards, once again, with effusive praise of Ricky Rubio's leadership, he called Ricky Rubio the best leader he's ever been around. Now, Ant doesn't exactly have a life's sample size of being around great leaders on and off the court. But he has been raving about Ricky Rubio, pulling him aside, explaining things to him. But I think it's very obvious that Chris Finch, either via Zoom or phone or practice sessions, was able to clearly communicate and work with some of these guys during the All-Star break. So many things looked different last night. And I just like the three things that stood out, and you mentioned the young players, but I'm going to go through a quick list of three things that were very different, or at least were enhanced compared to what we've seen before the All-Star break. And thing number one, the most glaring thing that stood out in a good way last night, Anthony Edwards, instead of settling for 10 3-point shots and clanking them all night, he spent, especially in the second half, he spent the game putting his shoulder down, driving to the hoop, initiating contact so that he can give himself a little bit more of a chance to avoid getting his shots blocked.
Yep.
And I just keep going back to what Dwayne Wade said on Inside the NBA on TNT a month ago or so. And he said, I think this guy reminds me of myself. Now, they both have the Tom Crean connection, so I think there's probably a little bias there.
Mm-hmm.
But this guy reminds me of myself, and I think he has the skill set and the tools to maybe be a better version of Dwayne Wade. Well, what we've seen Anthony Edwards doing in the first 30 games of his career does not resemble at all Dwayne Wade's game. Dwayne Wade wasn't sitting back and taking contested threes all night, right? He was, especially the first couple of years of his career, he was barely shooting at all from outside 10 feet. He was just driving to the hoop. He was an Energizer bunny. And that version of Anthony Edwards last night, I honestly don't care if he takes another 3 all season. And I get that that's sacrilege in today's NBA, but he is elite at getting to the rim, and I'm glad that Chris Finch pulled him aside in some form over the last week and said, dude, you're a running back. You tuck that ball away, you take 2 steps, you jam your shoulder into whoever's in front of you, and you get to the rim and you get to the free throw line. So, Judd, that was the first big thing that stood out last night.
And off that point, I think it was early in the game. Ant drove to the basket, and he settled. And he threw up a layup that was really not great, and it missed. And Jim Pete on the telecast immediately said, okay, we want him to drive, but the problem there is he has got to initiate the contact himself. So it shouldn't be the defender fouling him. It should actually be him doing what you just talked about, Phil, which is leaning into the defender and then scoring. And Jim Pete's like, that's the next step. He's got to do that. Within probably a quarter and a half of Jim Pete's statement, Ant did exactly that. And Jim Pete's like, that's what we're talking about. Exactly right. So I think you're definitely right. I think somebody got to him and said, we don't necessarily need to rework your game at all, but what we need to do is have you rethink your shot selection, what you can do well now, and where you're going to help this team actually win games. And so it was interesting, though, that within a very small time frame of the game that he had the right idea and did it wrong, and then immediately almost corrected it and did it right. And the thing with this kid is, what's the sport he supposedly loves the most? It's football, right?
Yeah.
So it makes perfect sense. Initiating contact should not be a problem here. But yeah, I'm with you. I think that Finch and the coaching staff probably got to a few of these guys and said, let's redefine your roles just a little bit so that there's complete clarity on what we want and what you should do right now.
The second thing of the 3 things on my list, and this is, you know what, the one of us on this show that deserves the most credit is the basketball whisperer himself, Declan Goff. Declan is always pigeonholed as a hockey guy. He's a hockey guy. He's a seltzer guy. It's all he does. He just drinks seltzers and watches hockey. Anything outside of that realm, he's just an incompetent boob, right? Seltzers and hockey guy. No, Declan was all over Jaden McDaniels from the first 5 minutes he stepped on the court this season. He was empowered even more last night. 20 points on just 9 shots. He had 3 blocks, a couple of steals. He always grabs a handful of rebounds, blocks a small handful of shots, and the active things that you sort of take for granted sometimes. And he stuffs that part of the box score on a regular basis. And last night was sort of his rookie Mona Lisa, and him combined with Jake Layman largely holding. Zion was efficient last night, but he didn't explode. And Brandon Ingram was having a horrible time trying to. Brandon Ingram was like 5 of 14 and couldn't get shots up over Jake Layman.
What were those shots?
Yeah,
those shots were ugly.
Yeah, he just looked uncomfortable, and part of it is Jaden McDaniels. Part of it was Jake Layman playing defense last night, but Jaden McDaniels in general as just a multifaceted Energizer Bunny type player who can shoot threes. He's fearless, and it looks like he might actually wind up being the steal of this draft, like a guy who falls that far and is that talented, and you're seeing him being unlocked in front of us. So that was awesome. I'll give you the third one real quick too.
Oh, wait, hold on a second. Allow Declan to have the floor for a second.
Sorry.
This man has been calling for this. Declan, take your bow.
Look, I don't want to take all the credit because, there was other people that said, hey, at pick 27 here, the Wolves really got a steal. This kid was supposed to be a top 10 lottery pick going into the college basketball season. He has a little bit of a rough year at Washington and then settles back in and then falls all the way to 27. And when the Wolves get off to their nice 2-0 start and he's inactive, okay, and then, the Wolves happen, Towns goes down, or the hell's Jaden McDaniels? Hey, can we get Jaden McDaniels in the rotation? Well, Declan, I think you got a better chance of you touching the floor right now than Jaden McDaniels. And then lo and behold, who's out there scoring a perfect 7 of 7 from the floor through 3 quarters last night? Jaden McDaniels. Who's maybe just as good and on the same level right now as Anthony Edwards to build around? Jaden McDaniels. So I don't want to take all the credit, but I do want some of the credit. I do want some of it.
And the best part about those two guys, Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels, they're very different players. They're very complementary. Yes. I mean, Ant Edwards, I don't think is going to be a defensive stopper. I mean, Jaden McDaniels is like this lanky energizer. He can just come out of nowhere from the weak side and block a shot, right? And Ant Edwards is more of a traditional, like, put the ball in his hands, run pick and roll, etc. So Declan, congratulations.
Thank you.
We're all over this. It's not a fluke. This dude is absolutely for real. And there is a chance, like you said, that he could just be the best player that they drafted last year. And then the other one, Jaylen Nowell. So he's always shown little flashes here and there. Last night, I think that was probably the most that he's had the ball in his hands as a point guard really since joining the Wolves. Like, there's been some spurts and there was some garbage time, but he's a sneaky good player. He's a good shooter, season high in minutes and points last night. And I just think we need to keep seeing like 25 plus minutes of Jaylen Nowell to see what happens. So those three guys were fun to watch last night.
I wouldn't mind to see them give him a start next game too, because McLaughlin's out and he's a backup. Like, I think he's fine, but he's out. Ricky is who he is. The flat shot ain't going away. No. He is not part. He has zero to do with your future. Okay. If you're Chris Finch, explore and embrace the future. Like, do everything that's geared towards looking at where this team should be going. Not, oh man, Ricky leads. I mean, he should play. No, he shouldn't play. Like, he does. He does almost nothing now. He could play some defense, and I'm sure he's a great guy. And I'm not advocating releasing him, but I want to see all of these young guys play as much as possible.
Yeah,
and challenge them. And give yourself an opportunity to look at what your future looks like. Like, let's not try and see, well, this is going to make the most sense for tonight's game because it might help us win. No, nobody cares about that.
Yeah.
What we care about is what's going to complement Cat the most and what's going to give this team the best chance to eventually be competitive, because that's where they're at.
And I'm not to the point where I'm just going to flat bench Ricky Rubio, because I still think there's some value there. But like, his value is mostly leadership and showing these young guys how to play at a pro level. And the other silver lining last night, Karl-Anthony Towns doesn't really have a great game. I mean, he was 2 of 10 from 3-point range. He sort of disappeared for certain stretches.
Yes, he did.
And it was fine. Like, it shouldn't always just depend on, well, Cat's got to put up 28, 15, and 3 and knock down 7 threes for the Wolves to have a chance to win a game. It's kind of refreshing to see that Towns was just sort of obviously he should be the driving force as much as possible, so you can see if he's going to be your center point superstar of the future. But it is nice to see against a really don't be deceived by New Orleans' record. They are more competitive than the 15-22 record would indicate, especially lately. So anyways, the Wolves are back out of nowhere, an historic comeback, 30-point victory last night. And
Timberwolves are back.
I think we should just end the season right now on a high note. I don't know that we need to play any more games. The Lakers are coming up. I'm good with that. I think we could just let's just,
You know what,
boys,
though?
let's go to the off-season workouts, get to summer league, and see what happens.
You know what I want? I want this because I just want to be curious to watch them. And the absolute crap that they were providing us before the All-Star break like made it very hard to be enthused to watch them. I don't care if you lose, just make it entertaining and let me see something that shows production. Like, I can't pre-All-Star break. I had no idea what this team was doing, where it was going. And the most frightening thing, if you're a Wolves fan, the few left, is that you couldn't see any clear path to, okay, I see sort of what they're trying to build here, right? Like last night, if you replicate that and play these guys, you're at least on the right path. And that is encouraging because pre-All-Star break, there was no reason to watch this team. Last night sort of sets the foundation of, oh, okay, might not win a ton of games, but there's reason to watch them.
What I'm worried about now is they're only 5 games back of the Orlando Magic for losing ping pong ball percentage points.
Oh,
right?
You should be worried about that.
Listen, I think it's a foregone conclusion the team we saw last night is going to make up those 5 games on the Orlando Magic. So,
Golden State is getting the 4th pick, and it's going to be the Wolves pick.
Yeah, it's going to be in classic Wolves fashion. All right, before we get to a classic rom-com rewind here, boys, let's shout out today's winner, I should say, of the SKOR North Pick Your Prize $100 bill. So here's what we're doing, all right? All throughout the month of March, at least up to March 26th, every day we're giving one person who opens the SKOR North app $100. And that person is also entered to win a $10,000 prize pack from one of our 9 partners. And today's winner is our friend Jamie. Let's see here. I'm going to butcher his pronunciation, but Jamie Keeker from Fairmont, Minnesota. So he's now entered to win a $10,000 Pick Your Prize grand prize drawing. If you want to participate, we're in a very giving mood this month. You can open the SKOR North app. It's free to download if you don't already have it, Apple, Android devices. You register, and you enter the Pick Your Prize contest through listener rewards. So it's been fun giving out $100 a day to some of our loyal listeners. Also, our friends at Whamatech, they're helping you guys with broken down phones, tablets, and laptops. I almost feel like Whamatech came in and fixed the broken down Timberwolves over the break. They're like, oh, you got a broken down cat, you got a broken down ant.
Here's a Jaden McDaniels for you instead.
Yeah, he's not really broken down, but
Ricky, we'll take him and we'll resell him to somebody else.
Right.
Yeah, well, because buy, sell, trade in, whatever you need, Whamatech is here to help you. They source pre-owned devices directly and pass the savings on to you. They'll even buy your old device for cash. Find out more at whamatech.com. That's WAMATEK.com.